All right, welcome back everyone to Daily DVR. We've got a great show once again for you. My name is Axel. Gina is with me. We are going to be discussing The Handmaid's Tale, Season 6 so far, because we got a couple episodes left. Do want to remind you to head over to dvrpodcast.com, become a patron at patreon.com/DVR. Just scrolling through Space Wrangler, Angie, Jen, Manny, Joe, Sandy, James, Jennifer, Gina, Ando, Brett, Axel, Solo, Elisa, just some of the great people. Tucker. I'm so glad that Tucker is a part of our crew now because Tucker's been our friend going back to the lost days. Gabby, Ricardo, thank you, all of you, for making this possible. Really appreciate it. Always, always thankful that people want to keep us going and keep this thing rocking out. Um, the only other point of news is on Friday, we'll have our first episode of Duster, which is going to be a lot of fun, premiering on HBO Max. And Gina, did you hear? Hello, by the way, Gina.
Hello.
How are
I
you?
did hear. I think I know what you're going to say.
That Max is now HBO Max again.
I know. It's ridiculous.
So
These
silly.
people need to get their branding shiz together.
I still, it's so weird, right? Because when they went to Max, the word on the street that I heard, and it wasn't very publicized, but the word was that they thought HBO was too artsy for the common folk,
Oh
and they
my
didn't
God.
want to alienate all the people that were coming to it to watch 900-Pound Sisters
Oh,
and 90 Day Fiance and all the Discovery Channel, TLC Discovery shows. They didn't want to alienate them by calling it HBO Max. So they chose Max. It didn't make any sense
that's
whatsoever.
weird.
But I think they're doing this because they're going to now split the company again. And I think they're going to sell off all of the cable, Discovery, all that stuff, and
Oh,
Warner Brothers is just going to be HBO only, and and the movie studio, and I
okay.
guess whatever else they do, music and all that. I don't even know if they do that
Interesting.
anymore,
Yeah,
but
I
that's
don't
the
know.
word on the street. But what do I know? It's just Wall Street stuff.
Yeah,
But that is kind of funny.
it
Um,
is.
but we are talking about a show actually on another thing, which is probably going to just be Disney Plus in a year, because who knows if Hulu is even going to exist. But we are here to talk about The Handmaid's Tale. And obviously, you have a podcast on it. And we're going to be talking about season 6 so far. I don't know. What are your thoughts? How you want to start? How do you want to dive in?
Well, first, I've been watching Handmaid's Tale on Disney Plus this year.
Oh, there
It's
you
got
go.
its own like little thing there. I think I canceled my old Hulu account. So while I still have that app, I just log in on Disney Plus to watch it, which feels strange considering the topic of the
I know.
show.
It's really weird. It's straight, you think at some point Disney will come up with a new name and then Disney will just be the cartoony stuff, but it's too good of a brand. So I guess they're just going to keep. I find that strange too. When I'm on Disney Plus and I see like there was what movie was it that they were advertising like Nora or
Oh,
something
really? Yeah. It's kind of
on
weird
Disney Plus.
because you think
I'm
of it as
like,
all
what?
wholesome family friendly stuff,
Yeah,
but
it's like what's going on?
yeah.
I mean, even though in a sense that film really is about love and acceptance, and that's what Disney is about. So I guess it just has a lot more nudity and sex in it, and drugs and violence. All right,
Yeah.
we're back to
Okay.
Disney World. Do you remember that
Oh,
guy a few years ago made a secret movie at Disney World where they went around shooting the film without their participation or
oh
agreement?
no.
And it was like a horror movie where
Oh
it's
my
like a
God.
cycle and like he did like it's like Mickey Mouse is he makes everything scary, and it's really good. They
That's
eventually
funny.
let him release the movie,
Yeah,
which I
interesting.
thought was
I
good
hadn't heard of
PR.
that. That's really funny.
But so when you tune in to Mickey Mouse's home to watch the story of the subjugation of women on a societal and cultural scale, how you feeling about this season?
I'm actually really enjoying this season. Um, it's been a little more mellow, which I think, you kind of think the last season, how is this going to end? The truth is, it's not going to end because they are making The Testaments, which is the sequel book to The Handmaid's Tale. And so I don't feel like this needs to go out with a huge bang
Yeah.
because the story is going to continue. They're already filming The Testaments. It's probably going to drop next year, I would guess, based on the fact that they're already filming. So I'm just kind of enjoying the ride and enjoying to see how it is going to end before we get this next chapter. So I feel like in some ways it's good. They don't have a ton of pressure on them to like wrap the whole thing up because in a way the story is not going to wrap up. I mean, it is probably for some people, for some characters rather, but yeah, so I think it's been
Okay.
great so far. It's mellow, it's building, which I appreciate, and there's a lot less emotional turmoil and there's more let's get shit done type of stuff happening.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'd agree. There's more of this whole season has kind of been formatted or formulated by this is a plan. It's either successful or something gets in the way of the plan, right?
Hmm.
Like and this show has relied on that in other ways, like we're waiting for June to get out or do this or right. But even more so, they've done that this season, and I think you're right. That kind of takes us away a little bit from the cycle of torture porn and puts it
Yeah.
more into the realm of June and her fellow revolutionaries have a bit more power, and or at least they're exerting their power, right? It's
Yeah.
a lot less talk and more doing. And there's been when I thought back on it, and I'm just looking back on the episodes this season, I'm like, wow, a lot has happened. Like they've gone on a lot of little missions
Yes.
and journeys, and it
Yeah.
starts on the train itself, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I've really enjoyed this season a lot. It's probably been the most I've enjoyed a Handmaid's Tale season. I always love this
Yeah.
show. I always appreciate it. But I look forward to like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh, Handmaid's Tale. Like I'm into a little bit more of the doing things. Still a little bit I don't know. I do find I always wish that there was more development, and I know they don't have really time to do it between Luke and June,
Right.
because
Yeah.
a lot of it's they talk about how much they love each other and we don't get to see it as much. I mean, sometimes we do, but I don't know. I feel like it's they're always just fighting for their lives. They,
Yeah.
like
Well, and like their shared goal, like, yes, I'm sure they still love each other, but kind of their bigger shared goal is to get their daughter back at
yeah,
some point.
exactly.
So it's different. Part of me with the pace of the show this season and kind of the more relaxed feel, it makes me wonder if it's a couple of different things. One, they introduced this new Bethlehem community, which is like the happy medium. It's not like
Right,
full on Gilead extreme, which is continues to be a theme throughout this. Like even Serena Joy, like really like, oh, New Bethlehem's great. And all the wives that are stuck in Gilead proper are like, oh, it seems so liberal and
right,
they're so
yeah,
conservative. But then also, the main showrunner for The Handmaid's Tale, I don't know if he stepped off in season 5, but he's definitely gone now because he's working on the Testaments. And I'm honestly not sure who it is, but I do know that Elizabeth Moss is directing many of the episodes this season. She's an exec producer. She's going to continue, I think, in that role, exec producer and part-time director for the Testaments too, even though I believe she will not be in it. Um, so I think it's interesting her career is still carrying on with this too, just in a different way. But it makes me wonder if her as a character, because there's something she did in this very last episode. She sits down and she just looks exhausted. And I'm thinking, you know what? That's basically kind of where we're at with this series too, because for so long it's just been so emotionally exhausting. And she's like, okay, let's hope this is the last thing, is kind of what I was thinking going through my mind. Like, oh, is
Yeah.
this, the last person I need to kill? Hopefully.
It's gosh, it's been a journey. That's interesting. I like the idea of Elizabeth Moss having more ownership over it. And she has been an executive producer and involved in the creation of her shows for a good period of time now, going back
Mm.
to what was the Australian show, Top of the Lake, right?
Yeah,
Wasn't
I
that what
think
it was
so.
called?
Yeah.
That she was involved in. And then when she did Shining Girls, right?
Okay.
She
Yeah.
was, I remember she was also an executive producer on that, or her production company or something. So I think that's awesome. And I think that is metaphoric and reflective in this season with her doing so much, maybe too much, right? Like maybe that's a little bit of kind of a theme of this season with June, is other people telling around her, hey, we've got a team now, right? Like we've got to
Hmm.
communicate, we've got to work together to take down Gilead. It can't be the June show all the time and
Right.
you making decisions for everyone, right? Which is
Yeah.
particularly what Mora says.
Yeah.
But that is reflective, I think, in the way that the people at the rebel base, which I don't know, right? That's what I like to
Yeah.
call it, the
Mayday
rebel base,
headquarters.
yeah, the headquarters, MHQ, that they kind of feel the same way too, right? And I don't know. I really like this season. I thought
Yeah.
it's been enjoyable. Even when they had this scene, which was it last episode or the episode before, when they murder all of the handmaids at the brothel
At Jezebel's.
at
Yeah.
Jezebel's,
Yeah.
which instead of making it a 5 minute slow mo to a
Right.
song, they just take them out.
Yeah.
We see the reaction and then we move on. We know it's horrible.
Yeah.
It's
And we know it's
horrible.
coming too. Like we
Exactly.
don't need to glorify it
Yeah,
because,
that's how I feel too.
you
You,
know,
yeah. You
yeah.
get into the Eli Roth type of torture porny stuff, which this show, I think it has slowly moved away from, though, as I was reminded upon rewatching the last couple episodes of season 5, when June is hit by a car and then has her arm run over by a car, which and the crack that you hear, I think we talked about it on the podcast when it happened last time on Resisting Gilead, is like, gosh, man, but this season they've done a great job of it. I've liked the flow of it. I've liked the direction that many of the characters have taken. What is your response to Nick this season? Because he is
Oh
really,
boy.
it's been up and down, and that final betrayal in the closet, I don't know if I understand it completely. I think I do, but I'm not sure.
So looking back at this season, the big clue probably was June's mother, Holly, saying, June, he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
which we never really put the commanders into that category before. We might have been thinking it, but I don't think it's ever been verbalized on the
Yeah,
show. And so it was, I mean, first of all, Nick is so freaking dumb because he's under pressure from his father-in-law, basically forcing him to tell him to ensure he wasn't cheating on his daughter, his wife, because Nick is, married to his wife,
yeah,
his daughter. Um, but all he needed to say was, Sir, you know I'm involved with the eyes. I got word that they locked down Jezebel's, so I went over to check it out and make sure everything was
yeah,
okay. That's all he had to say. But he let the whole plan slip, you know. He gave everything up, which led to the death of all the Jezebels, aside from Janine. And, in some ways it's like, okay, that gets you in closer. But like because he's a double agent right now. But I do think he's feeling tired and defeated as well. And it was more when he was talking to Rita than, like maybe the next episode.
yeah,
And she's like, what do you mean we weren't friends and we don't have each other's back? And what do you mean you're going to try to get my family out of New Bethlehem? And he's just like, you should know better than to trust anyone here. And, we were both terrified of each other. And it just seemed like a bunch of schmarmy, pansy, weakling BS. And I was
yeah.
just like,
It makes
so
sense though. I think
I
it
mean, it
works for the
does.
character,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Like, because I think that it really does go to show, and it backs up the fact that really it was like, it's like, this is Nick normally. He's just sitting there talking to people. He's like, I'm Nick. I work for the eyes. And then it's like someone mentions June and he's like, June!
I
Oh my
know.
God,
It's like the
June!
only thing
Right?
he
Yeah.
cares
It's
about.
like it's the only thing he reacts to, right? It's like Pavlov's June. He can't help himself. So I like the way that he kind of reduces himself to that, right? And
Right.
it makes him, because he's in, it's an interesting kind of idea because he's in this hyper alpha male masculine society, right? Where women aren't even allowed to read, talk, have a fucking
Right.
opinion, but he is utterly controlled by a woman for years, right? For
Yeah.
years, and he knows that.
Yeah.
And it messes with him too because you see the way the show always has him in reference to an older man, right? Like all of
Right.
his
Yeah, that's true.
relationships, he's
Yeah.
looking for daddy,
Yeah.
right? Or mommy. And then he's found mommy, that's June, and he
June.
needs to
Yeah.
find daddy. So he is ultimately always going to be a follower. He is not a leader,
Right.
you know. And
Yeah.
I think, do you think that June finally realizes that? Like, I mean, he's also, I like the way they were like, he's not Rihanna good looking. I
No,
mean,
and they're right. I mean, I think
well, he's
out
a
of
good
the
looking dude, you know. He
he's
is,
fine, but I think
yeah.
Luke is far better. Luke is more my type anyway.
I would say that I could see that, but
Yeah.
like just looks wise, I think Luke has he's a little goofier looking, you know what I'm saying? It's just
What
Nick
did they
does
say?
kind of have
This
that
this
dark
smoldering
handsome.
looks or
Yeah,
something
yeah, he's
between
got
those
that
two.
dark handsome thing. And he's kind of little too. He's not, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know. I could
Well,
see
yeah.
women liking him. But I think in the last episode we've seen, which is episode 9,
Yeah.
and I have
No,
titled this
eight.
eight,
It was eight.
episode 8. Okay.
Yes.
So I have titled this so far so people know we're talking spoilers for this season, as we already have. When June sees Nick sitting there and she's almost going to go approach him, I was so glad she didn't.
I know.
I was so glad she didn't.
Yeah. She was really having to like bottle it all in during that episode because it was like, Serena Joy coming over and giving this smarmy talk about, I actually think
Yeah.
my former handmaid and I are really, really good friends now, and that she forgives me. And I'm like, oh, girl, you're so clueless.
Oh
She
my
actually
God.
said she didn't forgive you like 2 episodes ago. You think it's changed in 2 weeks
It's
or
oh
whatever?
Jesus. It's
And then
awful.
Nick saying, "Oh, my first and only child," or whatever about his, child that's coming, and you could just kind of see the look on her face, like, she was cringing and
That
pulling it
was
together through that
yeah.
whole wedding.
You could see the murder eyes.
Oh yeah,
That's the funny thing about her is that her eyes are like the most recognizable thing. So when she puts on the thing, it's like it's still
I know.
there's no disguise
Aunt
here.
Lydia knows. She's like,
Yeah,
"Wait a minute, I
come
think I
on.
just saw June Osborne."
I mean, I could walk into if there were like 100 handmaids, I could probably go, oh look, it's Elizabeth Moss.
Yeah.
You know, it's very easy to spot. But oh, what were we thinking about? Oh, with oh how she's suffering through, and do you think that do I should say, are you not a little bit because the whole idea that Serena Joy has now we know ultimately she is power hungry. She's not she already let it get away
Mhm.
from her once. It could happen. It's gonna happen again, I would assume. But there is an appeal to it, though, isn't there? There's an appeal to at least there are no handmaids there,
Yes,
right?
definitely. And I think, like, Serena is, of course, a very flawed character in many, many ways. And while we're seeing a new side of her, it still doesn't excuse all the horrible things that she did. But what I do find compelling about this change in her is, yes, she wants to give the handmaids a better life. I think she had a very near miss of, and she had a small taste of what being a handmaid was like when that couple she was staying with in Canada was basically
Yeah.
covering the baby in her womb. Um, they paralleled so many of the experiences she had to June. So I think she understands a little bit more. I do think she's foolish for believing it could be possible. I think, her now husband really did kind of snow her over. Um,
Oh, that was to me.
I knew though, I
Oh,
knew because Belle Jr., who's an arse, the one that's obsessed with Janine, said something about, oh, to Lawrence, oh, my dad has the most fertile handmaid in the country, like
oh
one
yeah.
ceremony, and she has twins. And so when the eye or guard says, oh, Commander Bell Sr. has left a gift for you. It's in the parlor. I'm like, holy fucking shit. It's going to be his handmaid. Just
Oh
watch.
wow.
Just
Yeah.
watch. And then it shows her, and I was like, ah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
oh,
I had not picked that up and that, but yeah, they use the same exact verbiage.
yeah.
What's the actor's name? What's his name again?
Oh, geez.
Um,
He'll always be the guy from Dead Poet Society to
It's
me.
Josh something, right?
I think so. But
I don't, yeah, I really like him.
yeah, I
He's
I do too. But I
Josh
knew,
Charles,
okay.
High
But
Commander Wharton.
Serena's trying to do the right thing. And I think she sees that handmaid, it's got to be like 1 million triggers, not only of Fred's infidelity, um, not only with
An
she had a
obsession.
near miss as a handmaid, but I think it had to do with who she became when she had a handmaid. She was so horrible to June. And I think
Oh
that's
yeah.
where, for as godly as they claim to be, that's where Serena probably strayed the most from whatever religious ideology she had, even though it was legal. I think she knows she was very, very wrong
Yeah.
for all that. And it's just like, I
I
can't
don't know
be
though.
that
Does she?
person again.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know because you know what? I try to put myself in the circumstances. Like I was happy that this last episode, the voiceover that June gives is about like we poison the earth. Because it's
Mm-hmm.
good to remind people that one of the reasons why Gilead is able to maintain such cozy relations with the rest of the world is because they have become a world leader in environmental
I know.
causes,
That is their
right?
only saving grace,
Yeah.
by the way.
And it's good to remember that
Yeah,
because it speaks to the religious aspect of also that caused the infertility,
right,
right? So in her mind, I try to put myself in Serena and these believers' minds. The proof that they always were waiting for was the infertility, right? Like their proof of concept of God was the
right.
horrible thing he did to everyone by not allowing babies to be born because of the sins we perpetrated on Mother Earth,
Hmm.
right? On the planet he gave us. So it is such, so the fact that women can't have children bolsters their religiosity and then creates this cult
Hmm.
where they rape women in order to have as many children as possible.
Right.
And I've always wondered, one of the things I've always wondered about The Handmaid's Tale, because, and this is a little off topic, but just to ask you, I am a sci-fi freak. Has the concept of like clones or science somehow
So,
solving this problem even brought up in the books or anything like that?
I don't recall there being a lot about in vitro fertilization because honestly, that is the easiest way to do this. Like, you don't need to physically.
Yeah, you just screen people and then it could be
Yeah,
done
you
in a
can,
very, yeah.
it's like, like you can use them as surrogates without you having them in in your home and raping them.
But that's not,
That's
but then
one
that's
thing.
not as fun for the commanders,
Exactly. But the thing with the
right? That's what
commanders
it's all
is
about.
it wasn't necessarily the women that were all infertile. In the case of Fred and Serena Joy, it was
True.
Fred.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
became his sperm count went up or whatever. So Serena was always fertile. She's
Yeah,
like, but I'm fertile now, and so that's the other thing
you're
that's just
right. It
kind of
is both.
gross about the
Yeah.
society is a lot of these men, you know, aren't fertile and they can't impregnate a handmaid. And then if the handmaid gets into three houses where the guy is shooting blanks, then she's sent to the colonies as punishment because it's somehow her fault. They haven't like
Yeah.
tested the men in any way. So yeah, they
Well,
really keep science out of yeah, that we know of. They really seem to keep the science of how they could do this without, you know,
but see,
rapes
I would
every
think
month.
maybe
Yeah.
another country, maybe at some point, like another country, like Finland has a great birth rate. Why? Because they scientifically screened everyone, they went through everyone, they matched people, they asked people, right, for women to carry babies or they paid. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just, I would have liked, that's the only thing, because we are getting to the end of the show.
Hmm.
So it's on my mind a little bit. I understand why you don't go in that direction. That does we're this is being told for a different
Reason.
reasons as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I always thought that would be an interesting, even for even to buoy the themes of the show, science versus
Yeah.
religion. Like, hey, there's a scientific country that's doing it totally different. But yeah, I don't know
Well,
because that concept has been in other stories, right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah. Well, and that's something if Serena, if every, I don't know what her ending's going to be, but I doubt it's going to be running a fertility clinic in New Bethlehem. But
she might be buried under the
that
fertility clinic in New
what you're
Bethlehem.
what you're talking about could be something, a solution that they arrive at
Yeah,
eventually if she was able to continue with that work.
yeah,
However, it's a mild spoiler, but in the Testaments, there still are handmaids.
yeah. Oh, I
So,
knew. Yeah, that's
yeah.
that I knew. Yeah. Um, I that's yeah, that's really interesting. I think about it, but then again, if you reflect on the real world with the way you have people who are so violently anti-abortion and yet have never thought, gosh, maybe I should like help people who want to adopt. Or like instead of spending all my time
Yeah.
trying to control someone's body and choice, maybe I should help the people who are right there who want help, right? Who want to adopt or kids who need a home or something like that. Like it just, I mean, I know there are people who do that,
Oh,
but
yeah.
that's the way human beings are, right? Like they go with their what their religion is, and this suited what Serena. If there was ever a prequel of this show, I don't know if I'd want to see like have Serena be a star because I kind of like the anti-hero thing has been done so much, but if they could find a way to tell the story of the rise of Gilead, I
Mm.
think that would be pretty freaking interesting and put it against what's happening in modern America as well, right? The slow erosion of rights. But then this has that they could maybe deal with the science part of it. And probably that early on, the people who part of what they did in Gilead was purge a lot of those scientists, I bet, right?
Right.
Throw them out
Yeah.
of their jobs, kill them, or,
Yeah.
go to war with them. I think was probably something they did very early on, similar
Yeah.
to as we've seen in many countries.
Yeah.
And
Well, they definitely did that with the academics and I think some of the
yeah,
scientists, because remember Emily was part of that.
that's right. They talked about
Yeah.
that. Yep, they did. You're absolutely
But
right. They
yeah.
earlier seasons. See, I forget. That's just like when I'm watching The Last of Us and my wife is like, "What's this disease again?" And I was like, "We should probably go back and watch the first episode because it starts out explaining the whole
Yeah. Oh,
disease.
yeah. I forgot about how it
Remember? It's
started.
it's
Yeah.
like a
And you
talk
just
show.
triggered it. Yeah.
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 So
In the
that's like
lab.
I said to my wife, I was like, before the next episode of Last of Us, we're gonna rewatch at least the first part
Yeah.
of the first episode. All right, so getting back though to so we talked a little bit about um Nick. I love Luke. I love the actor O.T. Fogbenley, I think is the
Hmm.
way you pronounce his name. I love that dude. He is
Yeah.
English too, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's awesome in everything he's
You
in. He
know
is
what?
awesome.
I didn't even recognize him that we watched. What was it? The Accused? What was the one with Jake
Oh yeah, Jake
Gyllenhaal?
Gyllenhaal. Yeah, of course. He's got the great accent.
Yes, it's like weird, but it's like his hair is so different. He's not wearing
Yeah.
glasses. He's
Yep.
clean shaven. And I was like,
I love him.
who is this guy? And I looked it up and I was like, whoa, like I didn't even really recognize it. Like he was familiar, but
Yep.
it's like I couldn't place him, which is weird
He is
because
a
I've been able to
chameleon.
place him and everything else. Yeah.
I look at him and I say to myself, I would not be surprised if at some point he gets a shot at being a lead actor in an
Oh,
indie
yeah.
drama and gets like an Academy Award
No,
nomination or
he's
something.
great.
I
He's
think he
really
has got
great.
such depth and his role too being stuck and then when he finally is like when they're finally talking about Nick and he's like you have to fall in love with him and that like
Yeah.
he's so awesome. What else I want to talk about? What's his name? Bradley's character.
Oh, Lawrence.
Yeah, Commander Lawrence, who
I wonder if he's going to squeak out of this whole thing alive. I'm worried. I've been
what
worried about him for a long time.
how does he just talk about failing up? He just but then it finally hits him and they want to take him out.
Oh,
And
yeah.
when that I liked that kind of parallel thing of they're planning to take everyone out and he's like, "Oh, by the way, they're planning to take me out.
Yeah.
You know, this works for all of us.
Yeah. Um,
Which,
yeah, he's interesting. I mean, he definitely, so I worry about some of the other people that were involved in this whole thing, like Lawrence and Rita
yeah,
and Aunt Phoebe. Um, but I do kind of wonder, Lawrence was really pushing that cake on his wife at the wedding. So I'm wondering if, like, to kind of repay Janine for giving him the tip on his life, if he's gonna steal the kid so it can escape with Janine.
100%.
I think so. I
That's
think it has
great.
to. If he was smart, he'd leave with them. He likes
Yeah.
that kid. He'll be Uncle Joseph to her.
Well, but we need him to stay, though. We need him
Do
to
we though?
stay. I would think we might need him. It's good to have somebody there. And honestly, if I was the resistance, I would kind of be like, fuck him, let him, like, if he can figure out a way to stay alive,
I,
because you know what I'm saying? Like, he's still a commander.
well, and we've yet to understand the extent of the damage that the handmaids will do after this wedding, the ones that are housed or stationed, as they like to say, posted, posted.
Are they going to kill
Um,
the wives too? That's my question. Because you're going into a bedroom. They're not all, the
I
commanders
th
aren't all going to be
well,
alone.
I think the idea is mainly to kill the commanders because they don't really need to kill the wives because the wives lose a lot of protection when their husband has died.
True.
Remember?
Yep.
Like it
That's
started
true.
with,
They become part of the crew. They'll see soon enough.
yeah, it's kind of they become easily displaced. And
Yeah.
that actually makes probably New Bethlehem a lot more appealing to them because they could live there probably without a husband. They could probably
Yeah.
live there safely as a widow. Um, the thing is, however much damage is done, we know that Nick is still going to be alive because he doesn't have a handmaid. I'm assuming that Commander, what do they call him? Wharton? What's
Yeah.
the big guy, the new big guy,
Yeah.
the like the
Josh Charles,
commander?
Commander
Yeah.
Wharton. Yeah.
I'm assuming
Supreme Commander. I think
Supreme
isn't he
Commander.
Supreme Commander?
He's the big cheese. I feel like unless I think Senior Bell's handmaid comes from a different region, so she wouldn't have been at the wedding to get a shiv. So he'll still be alive. And that's where the problem lies for Joseph. Like, unless Nick and Joseph are like, we need to burn this thing to the ground and kill Wharton, Joseph's at risk because I
Yeah.
think it looks too suspicious. I mean, he doesn't have a handmaid at home though, but the kid getting away would look too suspicious. So,
Well, yeah, that's true. That I mean,
yeah,
he does have his way of slithering out of
he
everything, though,
does.
doesn't he? They
He
knocked
sure
me over the
does.
head. I don't know what happened. I ate the
I ate the
cake
cake
too.
too.
Maybe he eats the cake. Maybe he
Yeah,
takes the cake, puts it on his table in his house, eats it, goes up to bed after doing whatever, getting the kid out, right?
maybe.
And then he just knows that he's going to wake up to a shitstorm.
Yeah.
But I guess we'll see. I just like the idea of keeping him in place strategically for
Oh
Mayday.
yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like fuck him.
I do
I mean,
too.
I have no time for any of these motherfuckers, Nick included.
Ugh.
Like
Yeah.
you colluded. I'm done with you. Like, no
Yeah.
thank you, you're a collaborator. And I just they should be used in the same way that they used all of the women and men to get to their power, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I was happy when I actually was kind of happy when Nick did that because I was like, good, it's about time that she
Finally.
see who he
Yeah.
is, you know, because that's
Finally.
who he always was.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh
and
yeah.
he never wanted to save her. He never wanted, well, I should say that right. He never wanted to save her. He never wanted to save her kid. He never wanted to
Right.
reunite her with her family. He
Right.
just wanted to run off and fuck her. That's all he
Yeah.
wanted. He wanted
He
to run
wanted
off
to
and
keep her where he could
give
still have
attention to him.
access. Yeah.
Yes. So he could get
Yeah.
what he wanted and be happy because he thinks that's what he deserves. But he's a weak dude. Basically Nick is an incel. That is
Yes,
kind
I
of what
I
he
believe
is.
that too. I was actually thinking if he hadn't become, a driver and everything, it's like, he wouldn't have even probably had access to a woman. Yeah, he's good looking enough, but he was like a loser that couldn't keep a job, before he hooked up with these bozos. And they never showed it, and I know that they filmed a whole lot of scenes on his backstory that never aired, but I'm
Oh,
pretty sure that he's one of the people that led the massacre at the federal buildings at the Capitol when they took
wow.
down, because Serena Joy said, "Oh, he was with us. He helped lead the Crusades." Um,
He
yeah.
that's interesting. Wow. Okay.
And how the Swiss
I
government
really
said
want a prequel
you
now.
can't trust this guy. They told June
Yeah.
that a long time ago. You cannot trust him.
Okay.
He's not
I
trustworthy.
love that. I want a prequel
So
now.
yeah.
That
Or
that's good stuff.
yeah. But
Um,
yeah.
all right. What else where I'm trying to look at some of our characters and oh, well, let's talk about our favorite auntie. And you had and I think I was right when you had talked about a character when they were going to make their final change,
Yes. Yeah.
and I think you're referring to Aunt Lydia
Yes. Yeah.
in what both June and Moira said to her.
And
Um,
Janine,
and Janine, I'm sorry, right?
of
And Janine
course.
appear. I forgot because they
But
just keep
even
on walking through the door.
but even Moira, because she's like, you
Yeah,
don't
you don't
remember
remember
me.
me.
Like
Yeah,
she was one of the first handmaids in that training,
yeah.
first girls who escaped basically and was sent to Jezebel. It's just like you don't even remember me.
So many
Like,
of them. That was
yeah.
powerful.
And I think that's
I bought it. I thought that this was really awesome. And the part that made it really awesome to me was how June starts out being like, you wouldn't know. You beat us. You abused us.
yeah. I didn't do this. You did,
Yeah, you
you
did
know.
it. That's what oh, right. That was
Yeah.
it. And I thought that, and the
Yeah.
way her face got Andow, what an amazing actress. They're all
Yes.
so great. But that scene was so powerful. And the thing that made it, the blocking of it, the camera work, the way the guard was kind of being pushed back into them.
Yeah.
And at the same time, as June approached, and then as Janine came in, you're like, oh, I was just convinced that accidentally someone was going to
I'm
get
gonna get
shot,
shot.
right? Like it was just
Yeah.
they were going to, because that always happens in this fucking show, right? Where like things are kind of calm down, everybody calm down, no,
Yeah.
and then something.
Yeah.
So the fact that it didn't, and then he just kind of runs out the back of the room at the end, if you
Yeah.
watch,
Yeah.
I was like, wow. I wonder how long it took to shoot that. I wonder how long it took to block it because that was a very well done scene. All the way around, they should be proud of themselves.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, that was one of the most powerful scenes of the entire series.
Yeah. I also, yes, this is another like there haven't been many times I've cried during The Handmaid's Tale, but so I watched this episode 3 times. Every single time, still, even it just as it was fresh, especially when Janine goes to hug Aunt Lydia, because I was just like, this is
Oh,
like
yeah.
too much. But when June gives that look to Aunt Lydia, just like the nod at the end, it's like basically saying, you always wanted to save us. You always wanted to save Janine. I'm the one doing it. It was kind of like, we good? We good. Yeah.
Yeah. That was something
Uh,
else. And I'd like to see what happens with her, Aunt Lydia, and I'd like to see what effect this has on her in the future. We only have 2 episodes left, but I would suppose that she may continue on. We'll see into
she
the next
does.
one,
She does.
which is
She's
that's cool with me.
Yeah.
And
So,
it's that part of it is a little weird to me, like that I know something's gonna happen. So like in these episodes, I'm playing a game with myself where I'm like, okay, am I okay with people dying? Or am I okay with people having a separate story that they continue on in a different way? And then I see this story continued through other characters or some characters,
yeah.
right? So, and I'm also, because it is a adaptation, they could change things,
Yes,
right?
that's
Certain
true.
characters could appear that otherwise, if they didn't die, I don't think every character we know is going to die,
No.
right? Even though I know the Testaments takes place, what was it, 15 years in the future? 10
So
or 15?
it's kind of 15 years in the future, but there are things that do happen sooner than that, like
Okay.
closer to where we are now.
They could expand on
But
those or,
there's probably going to be a pretty big time jump at some point.
okay.
Um when they
I'm
do
cool with
it.
that.
But yeah, like the actress who plays Moira, who's also amazing and was in Orange is the New Black, she's just like, yeah, I'm definitely not doing the Testament. She's like, I'm done with this. It's just so emotionally hard and
Really?
draining. It was
Oh,
something to that
wow.
effect that like she's like, I can't do it. Maybe after a couple of years
I
they end up
respect that.
bringing her back for something, but she's like, I'm pretty sure I'm done just because
Okay.
it's so much. Also, both she and Elizabeth Moss became mothers during the whole filming of this series. And so that changes your perspective too. And in
Yeah.
fact, there are a lot of interviews with Elizabeth Moss about how having a baby before filming this last season really influenced her performance and
Oh, I
other
would
things.
suppose
So,
so, in a totally new and different
yeah,
way. Okay, that's interesting to me. And I
yeah,
can respect that too, because that's similar to like the final season of Game of Thrones, the final couple seasons where we all know that all the actors have come out and everyone involved was like, honestly, we just wanted to end the show. Like we were really tired, you know?
yeah,
Like I know,
yeah.
what's her name? Daenerys had like a stroke on set. Remember
That was
that
very
story?
early
And
on, though. Oh, I don't think it was on set. I think
oh,
that was
okay.
after they filmed the first season.
But she had talked about by the end of it,
Yeah,
she was so tired and it
yeah.
was so physical that she was worried something like that could
Could
happen
happen
again. I
again.
remember
Yeah,
reading some interview like that. So, you know what? People don't take that into consideration.
yeah,
When you act, acting is not you're not acting is not pretend for the actor. It's pretend for everyone else. It's
yeah,
real for the actor or actress.
yeah,
Like you have to be good, you have to feel those emotions whether or not you're a method actor. That's
yeah.
you still have to
Well,
feel the emotions. You have to bring it forth. And to
yeah,
live in this world constantly and film these type of scenes,
yeah. It's
I'd be
not like
done
his
with it
friends.
too.
It's not like his friends or Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
It's not like a
Seriously.
fluffy sitcom that's,
Yeah. Well, that's
um,
like you see what's his name? Bob Odenkirk, who was in Better
oh
Call
yeah.
Saul and Breaking
Mhm.
Bad. He's now doing these this movie Nobody and Nobody 2, where it's
Yes,
just like
nobody was great. It was so funny. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so fun.
it's like
Yeah.
a fun dumb
Yeah.
action, and then he does another one, and then I'm a little bit, there's a part of me being like, this guy should be winning Academy Awards, but then I'm also like, he was in one of the best TV shows of all time. It was very
Well,
serious. Do some
yeah.
fun stuff,
That's
have
kind of like
fun.
John Hamm too after Mad Men because that
Yes.
was a pretty deep dark character
Oh
and
my God.
then you see him like, doing Bridesmaids and
Yeah,
just
got it.
like a bunch of goofy stuff with the SNL kids and
Yep.
yeah, he needed a break from the serious stuff too.
Yeah. That's
Um
good. That's always
yeah.
good. You need to do that, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Well, um, I am we I was a little frustrated. I have to say, I was a little frustrated with the only thing I was frustrated with this season was I really wanted the plan at Jezebel's to work out. I wanted, and then when it didn't work out, Then then June comes up with the new plan, which
Mhm.
is we're gonna fucking kill everybody. And I thought it was gonna happen at the wedding because I'm
I did
like,
too at
red wedding.
first. I was like,
Yeah.
blessed be the
Oh,
bloodbath. Let's bring it
that's
on.
that's what
Red
I
Wedding
thought. It's
3.
like they keep on delaying it, right? Like I keep on
Yeah.
wait, and even when they went to Jezebel's already, and the whole scene with June and Moira killing the guard, like that was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So, and then they come back, and then they're back again, and now they're back again. So now we finally are going. We have what, 2 episodes left,
Yeah.
right?
Two more.
Okay, so then it's got to be this bloodbath. It's got to start something
Well,
even larger, or else are they going to delay it again?
so we did see at the end of the episode handmaids, like one was in the living room,
Yeah, they're
one was
ready to
in the bedroom.
go.
They're ready to do it, which I think that was the thing. Let's kill them in their sleep type of thing.
Yeah,
June, did Bell Jr. Thank
that
goodness.
was
Nice to
great.
meet you. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh God.
classic.
Remember that guy on Veep? He was so bad on. He was
He's
like
so
the
annoying.
worst
He
guy I
always
know.
plays a really annoying person.
Well, he plays the nice brother on
In
the
Nobody
Jewish
Wants
guy.
This.
Yes,
Yeah.
nobody wants
Yeah.
this. The
He's
rabbi
actually, I
show.
was like, oh, he's actually kind of likable in this, but most of
I
the time I'm just like, ugh, this
It
guy.
took me like 3 episodes to like him as the brother until I realized he wasn't going to secretly kill his brother. Like he's a different character
Yeah.
because he's so, oh,
Yeah.
he's so good at that.
But that's they could have, and this is another kind of area of restraint, which in some ways I appreciate. Would it have been great to see the bloodbath on one hand? Yeah, it would have been satisfying, but haven't we already seen that when basically handmaids tore Fred apart?
Yeah,
So I like the restraint of it where we only see her stick Belle in the eye. It's over quickly. And then we just see that it's going to happen as they're running down the street. Now, I don't know what's going to happen to all those other handmaids. Like, is there a rendezvous point where they're getting them out
that's
too? That's
right.
kind of the
Yep.
question
That's what I was thinking. Gina,
is
you thought exactly because this
is
show always does
is Charlotte
that.
going to escape? Like I've have seen what looks like in
Oh, you saw some.
stills
Oh,
a
okay, okay.
potential hanging. Like there
Oh,
are going to be consequences for this, I think. That's
repercussions.
why I'm
Okay.
worried about some of our helpers that have come in here. Um,
All
but
right.
yeah, it just kind of makes me, will they get everyone out they need to get out is kind of my worry. I mean, we've got 2 more, and what happens to Serena Joy? I mean, she walked out on her new husband. That was like, wow, that was a very short honeymoon.
Yeah, that was, and I was surprised that he allowed that to happen. Um,
Well,
and I
yeah.
guess we'll see how far it actually goes, right? Like what
Yeah.
the next step is going to be that he takes, because
Well,
he's the high commander, that's not only personally is he shattered, because I do believe he was in love with her or in lust with her.
yeah,
He definitely, it's embarrassing. The commanders are always so worried about what they think of each other and
right.
they're gossipy. So we'll see,
Yeah.
right?
Um, and then also there was a whole other plan because they'd put bombs in place, I think,
I
the first
They
time
did because she
when they
said the
went into,
bombs are still there. That's what
yes.
Moira said.
So bombs are still in place elsewhere, and I think they were going back in to either detonate them or to plant more because they knew security at the border would be lax because it would be all around the wedding. So there is going to be another big
Okay,
boom
cool,
boom
cool.
plan, I think,
Nice. See, this is what I'm
that we'll
talking
see next
about.
week. Yeah,
This is like Hunger Games shit I was talking about.
it
Like it's
is.
time to take down Gilead.
Yes.
Fuck this little shit. You got to take
Yeah.
them out. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
all for it. I'm excited to watch the next couple episodes.
Yeah.
This season has been, just thinking back on it, good stuff. Like when Nick killed those guards, that was so tense. And a lot of good stuff. June meeting seeing her mom
Yeah.
again. Maybe
Yeah.
hopefully we'll see at least. I don't think we're going to get a reunion with June and her first daughter, but
We're not.
we hopefully do get a reunion with June and her mother and her other. Is that
Daughter
a daughter
again.
or a son?
A daughter.
Nick's daughter.
Yeah,
Okay,
because it
right.
was
That's a
named
daughter.
after her mom,
Right.
Holly Nicole
So at
Flash.
least
Yeah.
maybe we get that reunion. There'd be nice as at least June we can have the family there together in Alaska or Canada or wherever the hell they are. I think it's
Yeah,
Alaska, right?
Alaska. Um, yeah, but it was also great watching June shove Serena from the train in that first episode.
That
It
was
was
great.
kind of like I'm
Throw
saving you, but
Serena
I'm
from the
also giving you a
train.
huge shove.
Yeah.
I mean, Serena, I almost kind of thought, you know what? She had it good at that commune with all the women and the kids where she could garden all day. It's like, I don't know, if I were her, I might pack up and go back there and just like get out of
Uh,
Dodge. I don't know
well,
if
they just find her again or find that place or destroy it or she anywhere anywhere she goes, she just brings destruction in her wake.
I kind of wonder if she's going to make it out alive.
I hope
Um,
not. I'm okay with her not making it out alive. She can take. Oh, by the way, wasn't it awesome how she got him in the eye like Janine?
yes, yes, I did notice that.
That was
It's
great.
like,
That
oh,
was awesome. Yeah, awesome. What a good show, man. This season has been really great, and I'm really happy that they're continuing it because we need a show like this on TV,
yeah, we
you
do,
know,
unfortunately.
and it's good for people to be reminded and it becomes a rallying point and it's hopeful in a sense that you get to see people and women taking control um, of their lives and in this political situation as well.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see what Elizabeth Moss does next because I think she has a lot of power. I thought, and if she's directing, it'd be good to see maybe she's going to direct her own film, a larger film,
Yeah, could
something
be.
like that. That would be cool.
Yeah, she got in a couple other different series while she was doing this, Shining Girls and
Yeah.
then The Veil, which
I
it
wasn't
was
crazy
okay.
about that.
I was
Yeah,
really not thrilled with her British accent. It was just
no.
really like I felt like she's pretending to be Anderson doing a British accent was kind of my takeaway with it.
What is it? The Brits can do anything, but the Americans, we're not as good as at the accents, like all the time I'm like, that person's British? I thought they were American, like for 30 years. They
Yeah.
do such a great accent. But I'm never fooled by an American. Very, very infrequently am I fooled by an American doing another accent.
Yeah.
Very infrequently. But all right. Anything else that you want to chat about before we hightail it out of here?
I think that pretty much
All
covers
right,
it.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, have you formulated any plans for your pod, or do you
I
want to
need
come
to like
back and talk about the finale, or what do you want to do?
I need to pull that together in the next couple weeks. Like I am going to wait till it's completely over before I start recording. I also have to plant my summer garden.
There
Like
you
there are
go.
just some things I need to get out of the way before I start it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's okay
Yeah,
because
it'll be fine.
the pods live on. The show, it's evergreen, right? Like people
Yeah.
are going to go back and watch this show and rewatch it, and they find the
Yeah.
pod, and I mean that happens with ours all the time.
Yep.
That people like show I don't even remember we covered, and then it's like people are still listening to it. I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's awesome. It's because the show is still available.
Didn't
Except
you
I don't know if is Rabbit Hole still available on Paramount Plus. They may have pulled
Oh, I don't know.
that.
I mean, you can find stuff everywhere. Didn't you say at one point it was like the American crime um impeachment was like
Yeah,
trending at a really weird time,
Gina,
like
that
years
is
after
one
we
of
did it?
people fucking love that shit.
I
And I
love
think it's
it.
the political angle too,
Yeah.
but in other
Yeah.
countries, that show like people know us in like all in Africa, in the Soviet Union,
That's
if it's still
so
called
funny.
that,
Yeah.
in
Well, it's not,
Russia,
but
right?
I'm sure Putin wants it to
Yeah,
be.
I know.
Um,
Feels
yeah.
like it. But yeah, no, all over the world, people hear that show and I get from certain sites I'm like signed up or sometimes I'll try to check reviews from other countries,
Uh-huh.
which is sometimes hard to do on Apple. Um, but it's crazy to see that. Yeah, these shows are evergreen. it lasts for a long time. Hey, did you get a chance? You didn't see that Marvel Thunderbolts?
No, I haven't
Not a
seen it yet.
Marvel person.
Yeah.
When you do, you should go back and listen
Yeah.
to the pod I did with my old friend Aaron. That was pretty cool to talk about
Okay.
therapy and Marvel, and so it
Okay.
was probably the most emotional and deep podcast about a Marvel movie that has
Okay.
ever been recorded in the history of
Hmm.
podcasts.
Yeah.
Um, but then maybe, I don't know, you never know. People get into that stuff. All
Yeah.
right, everybody. Gina, it's been awesome to talk to you.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Thanks for
we'll have
having
you
me on.
back soon. Everyone,
Yes.
join us on Friday. We're going to be covering Duster, the first episode. Have no idea. Looking forward to it. It should be fun.
When
Josh,
does that when does that drop? Is it tonight or tomorrow?
it's tomorrow night at,
Okay.
I think, 6 o'clock our time,
Okay.
9 o'clock Eastern.
All right.
And I don't actually, I'm not even sure if it's airing on HBO proper or it's just a streaming show. I'm not sure yet. The ads
Oh.
and the write-ups don't make it clear, and I'm not surprised at that with this new announcement.
Hmm.
I would bet it's dropping on both.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
would bet it's going to be both, but we shall see. All right, dvrpodcast.com, patreon.com. Thank you.